Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Hi, my name is Emerald Hill and I've lost over 100 pounds and I would like to introduce you to my co-hosts today, the new and improved Ben and Jerry. Hi! So today I thought it would be so interesting if we reviewed Jubilee's Jillian Michaels versus the body positivity movement. I love this video setup. Big group of people, a variety of people come together and express their opinions and be able to share and debate and have a discussion. And it is so cool that we get to see Jillian Michaels, one of the trainers from The Biggest Loser. I really liked The Biggest Loser. As somebody who was morbidly obese and a kid during the time that it was at its, pinnacle, I watched it all of the time with my family and I thought it was awesome. I was absolutely terrified of Jillian. I had nightmares about Jillian. She always had my respect too, and I always viewed her as somebody that did want to genuinely help people. So I'm interested to see how she's kind of perceived and taken and how she kind of represents herself, because I haven't really seen Jillian Michaels in a really long time. She wasn't even in the documentary that came out about The Biggest Loser. Just for warning, I have seen a little bit of this, but when it got to a certain point, I wanted to stop it. I was like, wow, I really want to talk about this. Together, Ben and Jerry, you and me, let's dive into this. Boom.
Are Americans fat-phobic and obsessed with unrealistic beauty standards? Or has the body positivity movement normalized unhealthy habits and lifestyles? I'm John Regalado, and today we're going to have a debate about what it means to be healthy.
They showed a couple of clips of Jillian talking to some of the different people bringing up points. I think that it's really interesting that they show the intensity and the passion. We haven't even gotten into it, but like behind some of this stuff, how it can come off like it is a joke. But the truth is all of these opinions and all of these perspectives that these people are presenting are real struggles. And it's important to be able to perceive that without judging and without making fun of that and without taking it on as if that's a joke. And to be able to look at Jillian and see, how do you respond to it? Is Jillian going to respond to it with respect, or is she going to respond to things like that as if it's a joke?
Hi, I'm Jillian Michaels. I'm a fitness expert and a health advocate, and today I am surrounded by 20 body positivity activists.
Okay, first, right off of the hop, before we even get into this, Jillian has to be commended, because being in a position like that is the most terrifying position that I could possibly think of myself to be in, because I would never want to, it's one thing sitting here talking to you guys by myself in my room alone, but it is a completely other thing to be there surrounded by people who are actively against you and that you have to debate. That is my worst nightmare. And you have to be sitting there calm, cool, collected like a cool cucumber and have all of your points ready to go. Wow, I would be like, I gotta practice. Every day for an entire month, I would just have my friends surround me, circle me like a shark. Come on over and ask me interrogating questions.
Obesity is not healthy, and pretending it is puts lives at risk.
Cool. I agree with that. I think that that is super true. I can't imagine defending that that's not true, but let's see what happens. We got 20 people here rearing to go. Isn't that dehumanizing, just the fact that they have to run to the chair? That alone needs to be sorted out. We gotta find a different process for that.
I'm gonna do my best to not use the O word because I find it pretty offensive. So I'm gonna use fat-bodied.
Oh my God. I've never heard of that. I'm gonna use the term fat-bodied. If somebody said to me, you're fat-bodied, I would cry immediately. The O word too? Wow, she's treating the word obesity as if it's a bad word. I've never heard that before. Well, I guess I've kind of heard about that, but I've never heard I'm gonna use fat-bodied instead. That is interesting. Also, excuse, I guess I'm I'm right off the hop rearing to go for Jillian. Could you imagine if somebody said to you, I'm going to use the term fat-bodied and not the O word because that's offensive? Do you understand why that's offensive? That's kind of coming off right off the hop as judgmental to me towards Jillian.
Body fat. It has nothing to do with the quality of the person.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Are we going to debate the claim?
Yeah, I just wanted to... Yeah, I wanted to clarify.
Oh my God.
Clarify though the language.
Are we going to pretend like I'm a 3 and you're my mommy, telling me how to talk?
Wow.
Ooh, right off the hop. Setting the stage. Don't tell me how to talk. Very cool. Very cool and direct. That's really important. I think that being direct is something that's kind of lost Oh my God, I'm just like, right now I kind of got distracted. Anyway, I feel like in our communication style, we really do lose directness and we want to beat around the bush. And that's very much shown in what you just said. I don't use the O word, beating around the bush, of just saying the word obesity. And for some reason, deluding ourselves into believing that fat-bodied is a better alternative. I don't understand that. But yeah, that was really interesting for that to happen, that conflict right there. Are we going to pretend that you're my mommy and that I'm a 3-year-old and you're going to tell me how to talk? But to be fair, this woman said that's the term that I'm going to use. You don't have to use it. But it's still implying that she should be more aware of the words that she uses. I agree. I didn't really like that. But right off the hop, we're starting out with conflict and kind of tensions are high.
Inherently unhealthy to have excess body fat, yes.
Okay, where are you getting that information from?
Oh, okay.
Where are you getting that information from? Okay, let's take a look. Fact check. According to the World Health Organization and Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, excess body fat, particularly at levels classified as obesity, is associated with increased risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, certain cancers, high blood pressure, and premature death. However, body fat is not the only determinant of health. Physical activity, diet quality, genetics, and metabolic markers also play major roles. Yeah, as somebody that has had health issues growing up, dealing with obesity and getting my period and all of that stuff, a lot of health issues to do with my weight and a lot of hardship and being able to overcome talking about it and the emotional attachment that came with that. Coming to terms with how my body was really affecting my quality of life and everything like that played a huge part in what makes me who I am today. So it does frustrate me when I hear, where did you hear that? Where did you hear that being obese impacts your quality of life? And it's like, from people who used to be obese, from us, from the people that have experienced it, from people who are actively obese right now that want to make a change. It just frustrates me. I feel like in the guise of, oh, I want to stick up for you and I want to defend you, it really blankets the experience that is the obese experience. And I'm not saying that as a joke. I'm saying that as somebody that's gone through stuff like that.
There are dozens of MRT trials that show having excess body fat. Dozens is causal, not correlated.
Oh, no, that's not.
I don't need to look at MRT trials. When I was 12 years old, I was playing badminton and I bent over to get the little birdie on the ground and I threw out my back at 12 years old. Because of the weight that I was carrying for no other reason but because my body was becoming unable to hold my own weight and it was impacting my health and my physical ability to do things. I don't need to look at a scientific study to say, yeah, that was why that was happening to you. It's not helping. That perspective is not helping. It's just like trying to separate on your plate the little pieces of corn from the little pieces of peas. It's just like at the end of the day, you got to eat it.
That's not true. There is no disease that just fat-bodied people get.
I didn't say that, but obesity lends itself to all-cause mortality across the board.
See, I don't understand what the purpose of trying to discuss that. Obesity doesn't equal one specific bad thing. What is the purpose of saying that? Yeah, so what? So what? I don't know.
Adiposopathy. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you know it means literally sick fat. And you understand how it works?
Mm-hmm. Jillian is now explaining, God. Do you know what it is when you have such an excess of fat that the fat starts to die, basically? And she's explaining all of that. Fat that has become biologically altered in ways that promote inflammation, insulin resistance, abnormal cholesterol levels, and increased cardiovascular risk. And that is from the American Association of Clinical Endocrinology. And I think that you can really see that on shows like My 600-Pound Life, where they show pieces of people that really look like it's actually dying, parts that are in need of desperate help. I think that it's really important not to ignore that stuff.
Because what ends up happening is the blood vessels get outpaced. So the fat cells can't get oxygen and they start screaming. And when they do, they release cytokines, inflammatory proteins.
I want to pause.
Damn it. I have such a hard time following along with long explanations that it's like, you can't pause. You just got to keep going. I'm with you all the way. You just got to keep it flowing. She's like, I got to pause. And it's just like, but if you pause, I'll lose it.
I don't appreciate the way that you're speaking to me right now. You called me out for just trying to understand the languaging and saying I was talking to like a 3-year-old. I felt like I was talking to you very respectfully. You're talking to me very disrespectfully right now.
Here's the thing.
And I want to...
You're telling me you understand it, but you don't understand it.
See, that's really sad when I think about the narrative around different groups. There's narratives around different groups, and the narratives go that they're sensitive, that they can't keep on track, that they divert the conversation to taking it personally so that you never really get anywhere. And I think that that is a really good example of that, because the truth is that you're on TV. Both of them are trying their best to speak as articulately as possible with pronunciation and everything, but also string along their points as beautifully and precisely as possible and concisely as possible. And it can come off as I'm speaking to you as if you are a child, but I am actually just making sure that I am communicating my point effectively because I don't want to look like a complete idiot. Yeah, and I think that they're both doing that, even though Jillian has been on TV probably a lot more than this person. I will say both just kind of seem nervous. I don't think that either of them are coming off as I'm talking to you like you're a child or I don't have respect for you. I think that they're both kind of just nervous, which is fair considering the circumstances.
Fundamentally, didn't describe it accurately.
What I am here to talk to you about is the fact that people in fat bodies are irreparably harmed going into the medical system every single day because of the term, the O word.
So that's what you want to litigate?
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the claim, though.
Wow. So the claim that we're trying to talk about is obesity is harmful, and talking about it like it's not will perpetuate more harm because it won't accurately teach people what the dangers of it are. I wonder why there's that disconnect there, right? Like, why is it that there isn't sticking to the point? Like, how come we're not sticking to the point? Why is there that inability to do that?
When the oxygen can't get to those fat cells, they'll die and they'll rupture. And then the immune system starts dumping macrophages in to try to clean it up.
But do you know what's even more unhealthy is weight cycling.
Jeez. Jillian is really trying to say it's unhealthy for people to just leave it and to just accept it as it is and not try to make a change and move on, because it is very real that these things impact your life in a bad way. And her response is everything but acknowledging that. Yeah, but when you're failing at that, that's worse. When you're failing at succeeding at the diet or whatever, that's worse. It's so sad that that's her response.
So let's say this person is in a fat body and they are inherently unhealthy, right? We're telling they're unhealthy because they're in this fat body. What are they supposed to do?
What do you mean, what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to go to therapy. They're supposed to talk about their nutrition to somebody. They're supposed to get a community so they have a good soundboard and support system. They're supposed to try. And we're supposed to encourage them to try. What are you talking about? What do they do?
For me, intentional weight loss fails 95 to 98% of the time.
My opinion about that is because we are the product of our environment. And so when we do something and we change it on our own for a short period of time, we're able to maintain it because that is a short period of time. But then we go back to our regular basis, like the regular food that we were eating, the regular habits that we were eating with our family, like eating really late at night or the portion sizes or whatever. And then we regain the weight instead of also changing the environment and helping our family change as well. But what does this say? There is no strong scientific evidence supporting a universal 95 to 98% failure rate. Research shows many people regain weight over time, but outcomes vary depending on how success is defined. One comprehensive review published in American Psychologist found that about 1/3 to 2/3 of dieters regained more weight than they lost in long-term follow-ups and did not support a precise 95 to 98% failure rate. So yeah, not that much. Not that much.
Because weight is not an individualistic pursuit. You narrow it down to this idea that it's causal, like that they're just not trying hard enough. But that is...
I didn't say that. It's multifactorial, unquestionably.
Well, so she actually agreed with me. It's multifactorial, and I think she actually kind of said in a way it's a product of your environment. Like, she's basically going to say, if everybody's not doing it, it's going to be really hard for you to be that lone wolf that just does it by yourself for forever.
I have lived in a fat body for like as long as I can remember. I don't think any of us are pretending we're okay with it. I live with autoimmune disorders, I live with chronic illness, and I'm also neurodivergent. I can tolerate this life, but I'm not pretending. Carrying around extra weight is harder. It is. But it must be done.
So that's really interesting. The second person has come up and has relayed a few points about herself, and I'm going to interpret it a little bit that she's saying that with these things that I am dealing with, eating is a coping strategy that I have, and it is how I tolerate my life and the hardships that I have with these things. Maybe that's the wrong interpretation. We'll see what else she says.
I've done what I needed to do a number of times to try to lose weight. I've worked out at the gym. I've tried to do Pilates. Even yoga. Okay. Even yoga hurts me.
Okay, so the exercise causes you pain.
The exercise causes
condition.
me.
Okay.
Love how Jillian is asking her questions and sussing out the information.
Living with chronic pain can be such a roadblock to being able to just like mentally prepare yourself in doing and achieving the things that you want in life, because it's something that you obviously carry with you every single day and have to deal with. It can be so draining in terms of not only your physical energy and capability, but also your emotional well-being and your mental state. It can be really hard to imagine a wonderful, fulfilling life when you're constantly in pain and doing those wonderful things, but also like, what's that going to be like while you're in pain? So it's amazing, and I think really like a great credit to Jillian for asking this person, what is the solution? Like, tell me all of the roadblocks and the problems that you have so we can come to a solution. I think that's commendable.
I don't think that food makes very much sense to me in my neurodivergent brain.
I've lost obviously 100 pounds, and that was the biggest hurdle in coming to terms with my food and my portions and really understanding what is actually going to help me lose the weight that I needed to lose was the food. The food is the biggest part. Exercise is very helpful. It's wonderful. It is a huge part of the lifestyle and the diet and being able to get there, but it is kind of like 1% in the whole thing. You know, going to the gym consistently, getting your cardio in, strength training, that kind of stuff. Yeah, but if you don't get the diet right and the nutrition right, the fat isn't going to be coming off because you're not in a calorie deficit. That was the biggest hurdle. That was the biggest thing. So I completely understand when she's saying like, oh, when I've tried all those things, I've tried exercise and I've tried different forms of exercise and I've tried movement. You have to consistently change the diet because it's so frustrating, but it's the truth. It's the most frustrating, hardest part, but it's the truth. You have to be able to consistently maintain that calorie deficit to really be able to see that change. And if you're not doing it in a sustainable way, then you're not going to be able to do it consistently. So that's what Jillian is sussing out right now. Yeah, but what were the diets that you did? How consistently did you do them? For what period of time did you do it for? And that's probably what we're going to see now.
It's where mechanistic eating actually helps people who are neurodivergent, and the research supports that because it doesn't have to make sense to you.
Okay.
In other words, it's like you eat on these schedules and you eat these foods and you eat this much, hence the concept, right, of
Hard
mechanistic.
pass. I don't like that.
I understand that you don't like it, but you'll have to decide which you don't like more. Carrying the weight or the mechanistic eating.
I love Jillian. You can see how it's done, right? The reality of the truth of the matter. You gotta pick your hard. Is it harder to carry the weight and to have more chronic pain because you're carrying more weight and it's harder to move and it's impacting the inflammation and impacting your autoimmune disease? Or is it harder to maintain the calorie deficit and to do the mechanistic eating or whatever? And I think that it's so great that we're witnessing Jillian say like, I've researched it. I'm trying my best to know all of the knowledge so that I can help each individual person with their own each individual and unique struggles or challenges or hurdles to overcome. I think that that's awesome. This is the other thing that we're also seeing is the constant, yeah, but that doesn't work for me. It's going to take you putting in the effort and you yeah, I'm really sorry to say, you struggling a little bit more. It's constantly going to be you pivoting and you making shifts and you making turns. It's never going to be sitting in a comfortable place and just saying, yeah, it's good now. It's constantly moving. And that's something that I have really had to come to terms with too. Just like, God, I'm not where I want to be. Why? And it's because I'm in comfort right now. I'm not where I want to be because I'm not challenging myself enough to get to where I want to be. And that's just the truth of it. And I think what's really important is that you start to look at it like it's an encouraging thing. Like when Jillian comes up with these solutions for you, it's because she believes in you and she wants to encourage you to be able to do it, not to put you down or to make you feel dumb or to make you feel like, bad about yourself, like you should be doing these things. Like you can be doing these things, and she believes that you can be doing these things.
I'm also a social worker. I work with youth. There are a lot of...
Let's go back to you.
This is the second person that has stated their profession. The first person was an eating disorders therapist, and now this person is a social worker that works with youth.
My body is not the most interesting thing about me.
You just brought up your weight and said, I don't see a way out of this.
In the ways that I can, and I've found works for me.
But you just told me it didn't work for you.
But it works to an extent.
I think that is an interesting point, but I don't understand how it contributes to the conversation. Two truths can exist at the same time. You can have more to you than your weight. Of course, we all do. And you can be someone that is struggling with your weight. Like, it's okay to be successful in other areas of your life, but need help in this area. It doesn't make you a shameful person or a failure. It just makes you a human being. Okay, wait. So far, we've basically had everyone on this side be able to have a say, and everyone on this side behind Jillian hasn't been able to get to the chair yet. I wonder if they're able to, rotate people.
What I'm curious about is if you care about people's health...
Paula's coming in.
And you have people in front of you, and I'm sure you have people online who are telling you that the body positivity movement, or I prefer body liberation, body justice, body acceptance... body blah.
This is a character. I always find it really interesting when you're talking to someone and they have to make sure they're a labels person. I need to be able to label these things to you. Honestly, I find it to be very othering. I find it to be like, this is our language, this is for us. And that's kind of what she said, like, that's what we like. This is the good thing about our shit. And I find it to be not inclusive. I find it to be very corrective and critical, right? Because Jillian is going to misstep. She's going to use terminology that they're going to say, well, I didn't like that you use that, and I didn't like that you use that. And it all really ties back to that point that makes people, feel like there's no conversation to even be had because it's constantly being diverted to correcting these terminologies that you are the policing of that. So you have all the power because you get to police the way that people talk. Ooh.
Actually increases their health, then I don't understand your debate. Like, what are you debating if the fat people are telling you it makes their life better?
That makes me upset. When I was at my biggest, I was in despair. And when you're in despair, there's going to be a lot of things that you grasp onto that help you hold on to what you need to just stay, right? Just to stay here with us. And that's awesome. When she says that, when the fat people are telling you that they're happy, and when I think back to myself when I was at my absolute lowest, and I just didn't know or understand how to get out of it. And it's like, I was grasping onto those things. I was trying to convince myself, I'm happy the way I am, but it wasn't encouraging me to actually make a change in myself and to actually give me the sense that I have power over my own life and that I can actually make my life is worth living beyond my physical limitations, but I can actually work towards fixing those things or work towards improving those things rather. So it just upsets me when she's turning to this person that has obviously dedicated their life to this research and be able to help all variations of people. And she's saying to you, these people are saying they're happy, leave them alone. But it's like, what about the people who have come out of it and have said, oh my God, I needed so much help. Like, I was really struggling. I can't believe I wasn't able to do all of these things that people should be able to do. I want you to be able to do those wonderful things and have those memories in your life, but you're not able to do them because of the physical limitation or even the mental limitation. I don't know. I went on a huge tangent with that, but that made me sad.
Do you think you can be physically healthy and mentally unhealthy at the same time?
Of course, but that's not the claim.
Okay, sure. I think the part where I get stuck, I am a mental health professional. I work with people from a body liberation standpoint. I work with people in all shapes of bodies. What I know to be true from my experience is that body positivity, body liberation helps people take care of themselves. It's very difficult to understand why you think somebody is going to take better care of a body they hate. Like why body positivity would not inspire people to take better care of their bodies.
And I never said you should hate your body. In fact, you should.
Didn't.
Okay, that was weird. That's something that I really find happens a lot in conversation is, I don't know what to say about the fact that this lady is a mental health professional, but I found that what she was saying was projective, right? She's really projecting her interpretation of Jillian. She's saying, because you're saying these things and you have your stance, I'm interpreting that as hate. That people should hate their bodies because they should want to change. They should hate themselves. And then Jillian said, no, that's not what I'm saying. And then she said, no, that's not what you're saying. So she knows that that's not what Jillian is saying, but in her own belief system, that is the interpretation. That a form of change means to hate your current form. It's really interesting as a mental health professional to put emotion onto that, to put an emotional attachment onto change, because life is ever changing. We're constantly being asked to pivot and to evolve and to stay resilient, right? Through all of it. So I think that that's interesting to say that to promote change is to promote hatred.
Went from access to healthcare
Okay.
to quite literally meaning for them that you can be healthy at any size, and that's not true.
Okay. I mean, the studies show that if you're very, 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 very thin or your body is very, 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 very big, it is more difficult to be healthy. That is absolutely
But
true.
then you agree with me on this point.
I don't, because I don't think body positivity is the dangerous thing. I think hatred of fat bodies and people hating themselves and people living in self-loathing.
This is where we're nitpicking about terminology, because Jillian is saying body positivity, the movement in general, is now classified as promoting obesity because there are people who call themselves body positive activists who do that. And it's really important to pick out those people, and that's what we're talking about. And then what this person is saying, even though she's saying like you have to use these other terms and these other labels, that is a broad aspect label and you're not allowed to hone everybody into that one group. So it's really picking people apart and then like getting upset at them for honing it down. And it's just, I find a complete waste of time. That's it.
Loathing because they've been taught that their body is the wrong shape. That's the danger.
Both can be true at once. So let's look at this, right? So the
Okay.
first thing we would want to do, obviously, is incentivize somebody. What's the why that's going to allow you to tolerate the how? But hold on. That's the positive. That's the inspiration piece. Okay? Now, here's the issue. If that piece, if all the things that they get out of it don't serve them as much as the things they're getting out of being overweight, and it does provide quite a lot. I can give you an example.
Wait.
Then they're not going unconsciously, they will sabotage the change.
Before she provides the example, when I interpret that in my own life, it's kind of like when I'm really stressed out, I like to eat. And that is the pinnacle of when I find that eating and overeating is worth more to me than staying healthy and doing the healthy lifestyle. And what Jillian is saying is that it's really important to suss out the why it's so important for me to stick to my healthy lifestyle, and why that's so much more important than caving into my emotional need to. That's what's going to get me through those hurdles and through the challenges and to that goal of not and not overeating and sticking to the healthy lifestyle. And my why is, wanting better for myself and wanting to take care of my body and realizing that just because eating those foods makes me feel amazing. And I love that feeling of being absolutely, completely brimming full. And I love all the flavors of the food and stuff and whatever. And the act of it, I love the act of eating. The truth is that it's actually really hard on my body. My body actually, even though I like the feeling of being full, my body doesn't like the feeling of being full that much. And it comes out in different ways. Like, my heart starts to beat really fast. I'm sweating because I'm trying to digest all of this food. My body is working overtime to be able to digest all of that food. And then, of course, I gain weight, even though I'm at a healthy weight right now. So I don't need to do that. It's not inherently a bad thing. It doesn't make me a bad person. It's just something that I don't need to do and doesn't serve me. Alrighty.
There was a kid that I worked with
Okay.
on Biggest Loser. He's 18 years old.
Oh, God.
He shows up with his dad, Ken. They both lose like 100 pounds. They go home, and there's mom. And mom starts crying. She feels like they're going to abandon her, like they broke the contract, like they've outgrown her. And she becomes sad and she withdraws. So what does the 18-year-old do? He starts eating with mom again. What does the food provide him? A connection with his mom. Food provides a lot of people with a lot of different things.
Yes, you cannot eat and not have your parasympathetic nervous system turn on at the same time. There's no such thing as not emotional eating. It's fine. It's good. It's great. Food is great.
I gotta stop that right there. That made me really sad. Jillian just said to her a really great example of a family dynamic and the maladaptive coping strategy of eating and how it has wormed its way into each individual's life. Their kid is going through one of the most transformative moments of their life, changing from a child into an adult. And this is one of the most transformative moments in a parent's life. What's a parent now when their kid isn't at home for them to take care of and parent? And especially it's hard for mothers of only children because who is mom's support system? Who's mom's friends? What's the relationship between mom and dad right now? And what's that going to look like when the kid is out of the house? So it's very understandable as that mental health professional should be able to look at that and say like, yeah, there's a lot of tiers to that. Not tiers, but like there's a lot of layers and levels to that. Food is now a maladaptive way to connect between people, and it is filling the emotional void for both people. The son is being guilt-tripped into helping the mother fill that emotional void, and the mother is unfortunately probably feeling really lonely and not being able to move on to the next phase in her life. And I'm really sad because the response from this person is, yeah, when people eat, the parasympathetic nervous system is triggered. There's no such thing as no emotional eating whatsoever. It's a good thing. There's a little bit of justice in what she's saying. When we eat, we technically can't feel anxious because anxiety is the anticipation of fear, and when we begin to feel fear, our digestive system stops. So that's why when you go into a traumatic event, they offer you water or tea to help restart the digestive system to get you physically out of that fight, flight, or freeze, that reptilian part of your brain. It restarts your parasympathetic nervous system so that you can stay present in the moment. So that's why she's saying there's no such thing as no emotional eating. But that's not the right response to there's a maladaptive eating behavior in this family. So I really didn't understand why she, yeah, it's a good point. Like, when you're eating, it's technically emotional eating. It's good to eat together. And technically it is good for families to have dinner together. And when you move on, like weekly or monthly dinner together, because it does foster connection and it does foster a support system and it does create, a community within a family that is ever growing and evolving. But it does not need to be the one source of connection. And that's why I wanted to make a response video, because I just wanted to say that. Okay, so we're basically at the end of what my phone can handle. I think that Jillian really held her own, and I am so proud to be able to be like, oh, I support Jillian. I think that she made a lot of really interesting and really important points. And I think that it's important to be able to regard everyone there with respect, and their opinions are very important. And all of these points are things that real people really believe. And it's important to be able to actually think about how we can talk to people in ways that make them feel encouraged and supported and able to look the monster in the eye and say, you know what? That's something I can deal with. What did you think of Jubilee and Jillian Michaels and everybody's opinion on here? Thanks so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate you, and I hope to see you again next week. My name is Emerald Hill. Bye for now.